Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Safety and Health webcast, eLearning Trends and Tools, How to Make Safety Training More Engaging, sponsored by DuPont. My name is Barry Botino. I am an Associate Editor with Safety and Health magazine, and I'll be moderating today's session. Thank you for joining us. In a few minutes, we'll start the presentation, but first, I want to go over some preliminary items. The views of today's speakers and organizations are their own, and do not necessarily reflect those of the National Safety Council or Safety and Health magazine. Any mention of a commercial enterprise, product, or publication does not mean the Council or magazine endorses those items. At the end of today's webcast, we'll conduct a question and answer session. To ask a question, simply type it in the text box in the lower left-hand corner of your screen and click the button for Submit Question. Feel free to ask your question at any time during the presentation. You don't have to wait for the question and answer session to begin. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but because of the large number of participants today, we might not get to every question. Any unanswered questions today will be forwarded along to the speaker. For basic troubleshooting information, click the Help button located on your screen. At the end of the webcast, you'll be asked to complete a brief evaluation survey. I will let you know more about that after the presentation. This webcast is archived, so you can access it after today's live event. To view the webcast and all of our past webcasts, go to safetyandhealthmagazine.com/events. With that, let's talk a little bit about today's presenter. Our speaker today is Steve Zuckerman. Steve is the Global eLearning Product Manager and is responsible for the design, commercialization, and management of DuPont Sustainable Solutions eLearning business, including the development of Coastal Flix, an online streaming video marketplace. Steve is also involved in software product marketing activities, including building business and strategic plans. Steve has held roles in sales management, market and business analysis, and strategic content development. Again, we thank you all for tuning in today to this presentation. And Steve, go ahead and take it away.
Wow, thanks for the introduction, Barry. I'm sure there's a lot there about me that people probably didn't want to know, but they're getting some extra information for their time today. But thank you very much, and hello everyone, happy holidays, and thanks for joining the webinar today. At DuPont, we start all of our meetings with a core value or safety contact, and we do this to ensure we keep our values at the front of our minds so they become part of all of our activities during the day. Today I'd like to share just a brief contact around safe winter driving. With the holidays and holiday weather upon us, it's important that we remember to be safe while we're on the road, and here are just a few reminders before any winter road trip. First and foremost, make sure that you check the weather before leaving your home or wherever you're leaving from. Make sure that you know the weather, across the landscape you'll be traveling, and of course the weather at your destination. Also, keep these items in mind as you're getting prepared to leave. Make sure you have a full tank of gas and fresh antifreeze. Make sure you have properly inflated spare tire, a wheel wrench, and a tripod jack, making sure those are in working order. I like to keep things like blankets, hats, socks, in my trunk just in case I were to get stuck. I'd have those items with me. It's also a good idea to keep maybe a bag of salt or cat litter, in your car in case you get stuck, or if you need to melt snow, you can get some better traction with those items. Also, think about keeping some non-perishable foods in your car, things like canned nuts or dried fruit, just in case you were to get stuck. Some of the other things that you might think about keeping in your car at all times, make sure they're in working order, things like flashlights, making sure you have extra batteries, first aid kit, windshield cleaners, an ice scraper, maybe even a snow brush should you need it. So I hope you all will just kind of keep this in mind during the holiday season, make sure we're safe and our families are safe on the road. So I appreciate you all allowing me to entertain you with that little safety contact today. As Barry mentioned, my name is Steve Zuckerman. I am DuPont Sustainable Solutions Global eLearning Commercial Product Manager, and I'll act as your host for today's webinar. Before we begin, I want to announce that DSS is celebrating 50 years of making the world a safer place. Over the years, we've collaborated with clients around the world to help their organizations better manage risk, improve safety of their people and their operations, increase productivity and efficiency in their organizations, and build the capability of their workforce to sustain these improvements. Today, we bring customers the benefits of an integrated global consulting firm and process technology enterprise. We continue to apply DuPont's real-world experience, history of innovation, problem-solving success, and strong learning and development know-how to help organizations transform their workplaces and work cultures to become safer, more operationally efficient, and more environmentally sustainable. So let's go ahead and start with a poll question, and I hope you all will take a few moments and let us know which of the challenges here causes your organization those problems as it pertains to training. Is it standardization of training for a global and diverse workforce, keeping learners engaged in compliance training, solving just-in-time and just-in-place learning issues, or keeping training short without compromising the learning objective? And I'll give you guys about 30 seconds or so to go ahead and answer this question. It looks like we're getting some good responses to start rolling in here. All right, we'll give you another couple seconds. All right, well, let's see how everybody answered. It looks like coming in first is keeping learners engaged in compliance training, and we're going to spend a good deal of time with that. A close second was keeping training short without compromising learning objective, and we'll definitely spend some time there as well. So again, thank you for the participation here, and let's go ahead and let's dive in. So as we begin to talk about some of the trends and tools, I think it's important for us to review some of the major organizational challenges as it pertains to learning, reflected in some of the poll question results and answers you just gave. Our research and our work with clients has led us to 4 major challenges in corporate and learning development work. First, how to meet the diverse learning needs of an organization. Second, keeping employees engaged in the learning event, whether it's online or in person, and that's what you guys marked as your most pressing challenge. The delivery of learning to a dispersed workforce, and to the many pulls at lean organizations to make learning a priority and a continuous journey at the same time. So let's go ahead and start with companies satisfying varying geographical needs across diverse organizational structures. Companies with operations in multiple locations, especially those with multinational operations, can be subject to varying regulations, right? So in the United States, for example, a company's facility located in Ohio could be subject to different environmental and operational regulations compared to one of its facilities operating in California, depending on the laws of those states. And if a U.S.-based company also has operations in Europe, employee training in those 2 countries would need to be reflective of OSHA rules on one side and those of the European Agency for Safety and Health at Work on the other. Organizations with multinational operations must provide training in the native language where employees are located as well. However, simple translations of content prepared in one language to that of another language can contain numerous inaccuracies, rendering the translated content ineffective. We found that overcoming these geographical obstacles are essential to a successful compliance training program. The next challenge I'll focus on is worker engagement, and we'll spend a little bit of time here because I know it's of interest to everybody. So it's important for us to recognize that new technologies are transforming the way we live and connect with one another, but not everyone is eager to adopt and use the latest innovations. While a differentiated workforce will find varying levels of employee adoption to the new technologies, our training initiatives must recognize these differences while leveraging the new technologies so that we can effectively engage all individuals in the workforce to improve our learning outcomes. And we know the training experience itself should be interesting to the employees. If we're being really honest, workers are rarely excited about participating in safety and compliance training. The hours required for training are, in most cases mandated by the company. They can account for a significant part of the employee's work day or work week, depending on the training to be done. And if the training content is not updated, it can be easily perceived as repetitive. And because one poor training experience can impact how employees feel about the next, all the training experiences we put forward should seek to excite the employees and really hold their interest. And so one way to do that that we found is really effective is through the use of video, and the use of video especially in compliance training. Research conducted by Cisco found that global video traffic will make up 82%. 82%, think about that, it's a huge number of all consumer internet traffic by 2020. So we know that video is the most commonly used medium online today. And at DuPont, we found that incorporating video into the learning solutions can improve the learning experience because seeing the learning in real-world conditions really is an ideal way to make sure that learning sticks. We also found that video did a much better job at helping learners acquire and retain knowledge and understand the learning much better than, say, with text or still photos alone. The third challenge that I want to talk about today is simply reaching that dispersed workforce and delivering learning directly to them at the time of need. Now, we all know that mobile devices, whether we're talking about smartphones or tablets, are transforming the way safety and compliance training is done. Workers can have training and information available at their fingertips 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making training more convenient for workers. It's estimated by the end of next year, mobile devices will account for 72% of all online video viewing. So we know that a lot of online video viewing is happening, and we know a majority of that is happening over mobile devices. So, mobile-based training, in our mind, is an ideal way to engage younger workers, in particular millennials. Nearly 9 out of 10 millennials say that their smartphone never leaves their side. But as mobile devices have become more commonplace in society, all demographics of workers are becoming more comfortable using them. This makes the ability to deliver mobile maximized learning content devices a key tool for safety and compliance training today and, of course, in the near future. At DuPont, we found that our clients who are delivering video-based engaged learning to mobile devices are seeing an improved retention and an increase in training objective knowledge and awareness. The fourth and final challenge we'll discuss today is around time and the lack of it we all seem to have. And this was another major point that you all wanted to talk about today, so we'll spend a little bit of time on it as well. So how do we build a sustainable and continuous learning environment with all of the external forces and demands put on today's workforce? So one way to accomplish this is through shortening the time spent in supplemental learning events with microlearning. Microlearning is truly emerging as an important way to augment and complement our learning environments. And what makes microlearning different is how it offers a reconsideration of the traditional method and medium of training. More traditional training, especially onboarding of new employees, is often seen as an intensive one-time immersion into safety, skills, and the culture of an organization. And while this type of induction training is necessary, it's becoming apparent that there can be more effective ways to train, reinforce, and adjust skills, and we can do that through microlearning. Microlearning will deliver training in short bursts, and we see these 2 to 3 minute bursts having the ability to push forward an individual skill, or even be part of a series of skills or knowledge. Microlearning also promotes awareness level learning, enhancing the comprehension of specialized individual tasks. It can assist with the sustainment of learning by making abstract points concrete for learners, and demonstrating how a procedure that is taught applies to the worker's daily job. Individual microlearning opportunities stress a specific skill and can utilize brief messaging and short videos that can be accessed via mobile devices. So microlearning is increasingly becoming a widely used element of training and continuing education among the organizations that DuPont supports. But it's important to note that microlearning shouldn't be a replacement of a larger training curriculum, but as a powerful tool that enables better engagement and retention of focused subject matter. Its ease of use and its ability to target specific employees who have specific responsibilities at specific locations can open new avenues of training beyond the traditional seminar, to promote year-round learning opportunities, which can, again, significantly improve an organization's safety compliance. So I know there's a lot there, so maybe kind of a quick example of how we can consider using microlearning at our organization. So again, an example for us to think about. So a high-rise construction worker on the job in a city, much like my hometown of Virginia Beach, experiences significant temperature fluctuations. So the worker will wear a safety harness when they're working on the upper floors of the new building, and in cooler weather, when he or she is wearing more clothing, the safety harness is adjusted to fit differently than when the weather is warmer and the worker is wearing less clothing. But the worker may not always readjust the safety harness so it fits properly. And so with this in mind, the construction company can distribute a microlearning video before a significant change in the weather is forecasted to occur, with the goal of training employees about the proper procedures for using a safety harness. So it kind of gives you an idea of maybe a prescriptive way for organizations to push learning to the individuals at the time of need. So at DuPont, we found that these bursts of learning can improve retention and close performance gaps, and that these short bite-sized courses can help employees improve risk awareness and safety performance. We found that microlearning is well suited for the just-in-time performance-based learning requirements of today's workforce by providing just the information employees need just when they need it, sort of like in the example of the construction company we discussed a few seconds back. Microlearning can be accessed anytime via mobile devices, whether, again, we're talking about a tablet or a smartphone. And again, mobile delivery of microlearning is a very successful medium for this type of content. And microlearning courses are most effective as part of a blended learning approach, as they're an ideal complement to a classroom event or e-learning course, and can be used as on-demand refresher training or even as a meeting opener. And we use these a lot as meeting openers or safety contacts within DuPont. So specifically, we know it can help improve safety awareness. It can show one simple skill that can be isolated and then transferred to multiple jobs. Microlearning can be used to show the reaction to an event, such as an incident, whether sent to that individual to watch on their own or whether it's going to be sent company-wide. Microlearning can be used to prompt the recall of a previous training. So think about using it to bridge together multiple instructor-led sessions or multiple e-learning courses, tying those things together. And again, something I think is pretty powerful is the way that it can be used for learning towards the anticipation of higher risk, right, or work to be done in the future, more along the lines of that prescriptive training. So the next slide here is a really great infographic we created to represent the items we discussed on some of the previous slides. And again, to summarize microlearning, and you can see some of it here, it's an increasingly used element of training and continuing education among many of our high-performing clients. Providing safety training in short bursts can help workers retain critical safety knowledge and procedures. Short bite-sized courses can help employees improve risk and safety performance by providing just the information they need just when they need it, delivered right to their mobile device or laptop. And microlearning courses are most effective as part of a blended learning approach, as they're an ideal complement to that classroom event and can be used as on-demand refresher training alongside an e-learning course. So let's take a look at an example of a microlearning video that can grab attention and improve awareness in a short period of time. And so let's roll this.
Almost everywhere you look, you'll find someone glancing down at a handheld device or talking on a cell phone. Device distraction is a growing safety hazard that can lead to devastating consequences. Device distractions are a hazard to both the individuals using them and to everyone around them. Individuals often become completely unaware of the hazards threatening their safety or the hazards they are creating through their lack of attention. The most common types of devices causing distractions include mobile phones and personal computing devices such as tablet computers. In addition to the dangers caused by being distracted while walking or driving, device distractions can also be hazardous while operating any type of motorized or heavy equipment, using power tools, or performing maintenance associated with energized equipment. Avoid using personal electronic devices while doing any activity requiring your focus and attention. The idea of multitasking or being able to focus on more than one activity at a time has been proven to be false. Pause before using any type of personal electronic device, and never use a device while performing any task. Giving your full attention to whatever you're doing is where your focus should be to stay safe on the job.
Enjoyed that short piece of microlearning on device distractions. Now, I want to take a few minutes and talk about the importance of course customization in direct response to the first challenge we covered today, that of satisfying the varying geographical needs across diverse organizational structures. The reason why I want to talk about this is because it's a big challenge for us within DuPont as well. If you think about DuPont's business, we've got locations across the world, but we have some very strict safety regulations, and so we have challenges. How do we consistently push content across the globe? So I want to give you all a couple minutes on how we think about course and learning customization. But first, I'd like us to take another minute or so and take another little quick poll here. So we'd be interested to know what % of your learning content is customized within your organizations to serve the variety of needs within your company. Is it 0%, meaning everything you're using is off the shelf and you haven't done any customization to it? Is it 25% and under? Is it 26 to 50%? 51 to 75%, or 75% and above? And again, we'll give everybody just a couple of minutes here, or excuse me, a couple of seconds here, and we'll see how everybody answered, and I'll share the results. right, if we'll give everybody just another few seconds, let the last responses roll on in. All right. Well, let's take a look. So it seems to be, spread across pretty evenly. It looks like at least a majority of us are doing some customization work within the learning that we're doing at our organizations. With a third of us, customizing most of the content that we're pushing. So that's really fascinating. So again, thank you all for entertaining me with the poll data there. But let's talk about why customization is so important. So we know that no two companies are alike. Even those in the same industry sector have different cultures, different operating locations, internal organizational and supervisory structures. In a few limited instances, we found that off-the-shelf or cookie-cutter e-learning solutions are sufficient, but more often than not, the most effective e-learning platforms for safety and compliance training are those that can be customized to the needs and characteristics of a specific organization. Customized e-learning content platforms are really able to capture the unique goals and objectives and operational requirements of an organization, while off-the-shelf systems and content can really only provide a glimpse at generalized policies that are applicable to maybe a company's broad industry or business sector. When we include, and by including the policies and procedures that are specific to a company, customized learning not only improves the efficiency of the training experience by ensuring employees are only taught what is relevant and doesn't waste time on information that is unnecessary, it also enables companies to measure an employee's performance more accurately during the training exercise. Customized learning is also particularly effective to impart the organization's unique safety culture to the learning experience. The combination of knowledge and skill transfer coupled with an organization's cultural commitment and branding can really increase the effectiveness and engagement of each. So learning is reinforced and associated with an organization's cultural goals, thereby connecting it with and providing a context within, the learning environment. And at DuPont, we really believe that companies should utilize training software that gives them the flexibility to edit content and to customize it to their own unique cultural needs. Okay, so now that we've talked about customization a little bit, I want to spend a few minutes discussing e-learning and how we look at e-learning as an important part of making corporate safety training stick, and how we support our clients through this journey at DuPont. Again, we try and keep employee engagement as the key to our client safety and compliance success. Okay. First, some benefits we can all agree on as it pertains to online learning, and I know we've got a lot of companies on the call today that are pretty mature in their e-learning journeys, and we have others who are just starting. So, just some benefits that we've seen from our work, our work with customers and from our product development activities is, the scalability of e-learning. E-learning allows us to quickly create and communicate new policies, new training content ideas and concepts. E-learning also provides capacity and consistency, right? So using e-learning allows educators to, achieve a great degree of coverage for their target audience, and it ensures that the message is communicated in a consistent fashion. Again, this is really important at DuPont, the consistency of the learning, and we've seen that this results in learners receiving all of the same training. We found that blended learning approaches resulted in higher knowledge retention rate. So e-learning coursework that can be refreshed and updated whenever needed is certainly important, right? So the ability to update that content on the fly and get new messaging out is a really good way to ensure that the knowledge is retained and the right knowledge is retained. time and money savings. This one is pretty well known, and really the staple of any well done e-learning program. E-learning reduces that time away from the workplace. It eliminates the need for travel and removes the need for classroom-based training in some instances, in some areas of learning. If you're using a learning management system today to deliver your e-learning courses, then you know that tracking learner progress is very easy, and reporting on this activity is just as easy. So again, measurement of activities, certainly a key benefit of online learning. And then, finally, the flexibility, right? So using e-learning can give employees and students the freedom to learn at their own convenience and at a pace that's truly right for them. You can have assurances that your staff will be trained in remote locations and in a consistent fashion compared to anyone else who's receiving that on-site training. So, if you do have a dispersed workforce, you can have a classroom training and at your home office, and maybe having your remote employees take some online training, and using e-learning, you can make sure that learning is consistent across both. So, now that we've kind of talked through some of the benefits of e-learning, I'll review some of the tools that you should think about having as part of an effective e-learning campaigns. And the ones I'll talk through today are specific to DuPont, but there are a number of general tools out there as well. So at DuPont, we believe that the courses you use must be compelling, and that's why the end-user experience and sound instructional design is really at the core of our courseware development activities. Our compelling courseware truly transports employees into relevant situations that are applicable to their jobs, allowing them to better understand the consequences of their safe and unsafe actions, through the use of full-screen video to engage the learner. And we've talked a lot about, why learner engagement is important and how the use of video can help there. So, when we build our content, it's all video-based. It's not PowerPoint-based or text-based. All of our content can be used across any Windows-based PC, any Mac, any iPhone, Android, tablet, any type of smartphone. Really any device that can get a web connection. Our instructional design strategy that we use builds on every step from needs assessment to training evaluation, and it draws from instructional models to enhance workplace learning and performance. Also, our content allows for high levels of customization, including the ability to add and edit and delete audio, video, text, graphics, training points, questions in the course modules, self-checks, and even pre- and post-tests. So, as you can tell, we want our content to all be highly configurable, so we make sure that our clients' employees are really being spoken to directly. And we have the ability to deliver this content in multiple languages. We've delivered content in 20-plus languages so far. And we've got the average course length around 20 or 30 minutes for our full-length courses, and up to 3 to 5 minutes for our micro-learning courses. And we try and match those up so they complement each other fairly well. But I'd like you all to kind of keep this in mind when you're thinking about the content that you all are delivering as part of your e-learning curriculum. According to Brandon Hall's white paper titled Breathing New Life into Safety and Compliance Training, as organizations start rethinking their compliance training strategy, it's important to recognize that compliance training is typically the first learning experience that an employee has within an organization. It's also the one type of training that will impact the most employees, and time spent in compliance training is often mandated. So if the experience that they have is dry or dull or hard to navigate or isn't user-friendly, it can truly impact the employee's perception of any learning they'll encounter in the future. And this is a great quote here you can all see from Captain Sully, who we've developed a number of training courses in the past with on safety and leadership. And he says, when workers are engaged, when they feel they are doing their best work, and when they have a sense of accomplishing something that matters, they're more productive and more innovative. And that's certainly something that, that I agree with. At DuPont, we don't just deliver content in the realm of safety training. We also understand that content in the area of human resources and ethics and leadership and other areas of compliance are really a great complement to a core safety curriculum. And so this year we've developed some brand new content around workplace harassment and sexual harassment. Obviously those two topics have been in the news and are big areas of risk for our organizations, but we've also created content in areas of things like diversity, drug and alcohol abuse and awareness, and some other topics in that area. We've also created some content on multi-craft training, focused on maintenance skills. And many of these courses that we've developed this year and in some years past have been upgraded and tie really nicely into what organizations are doing from a safety perspective. So today at DuPont we've got some 600 plus mobile-ready courses. We've got 1,400 plus SCORM compliant courses that can be utilized on most commercially available learning management systems. And our content is reviewed by subject matter experts to help ensure compliance with health, safety, environmental, ethical, and operational standards. The other thing that's new for us in 2018 is the release of our redesigned LMS, and we really spent some time on modernizing it and making the interface a lot cleaner and easing the pain around the use of learning management systems. And so some of the benefits are the ability to schedule multiple reports for routine and regular delivery. The platform is role-based, has role-based access for administrators, so a different level of employees can see different things within the platform. It has an email notification system that allows that actually drives training compliance, by sending emails directly to your workforce. It's got an easy one-click access for learners to get to the learning. It has, of course, embedded functionality to brand the site. It has multi-language interface, so if you're using it in different regions or different countries, it can be accessed in their native language. It, of course, has tracking for both online and classroom training. It can host third-party SCORM compliant courseware, and as you can see from the little graphic here on the screen, it can be accessed over any device type. But one piece of the LMS that I'd really like to highlight is our embedded content authoring tool. And so this is a very easy to use and powerful tool that can help you efficiently create some engaging content of your own with little to no programming skills required. So you can bring your site-specific, customized learning to life very easily within this tool. Again, you can incorporate things like quizzes and interactivity that can really engage your learners and address the various learning styles within your organization. And then finally, I want to talk for a minute about CoastalFlix. CoastalFlix is our online marketplace where learning and development and safety professionals can browse and license our catalog of thousands of streaming videos and e-learning courses. They range from our Microlearning videos to our full-length library of streaming video content. Our SCORM compliant HTML5 e-learning course content is available through CoastalFlix as well. And so some of the benefits here to a subscription to this platform include, again, the ability to play content across any device type, whether it's a desktop, laptop, a tablet, a smartphone, or even through a smart TV via our new Roku channel. It really offers simplicity around use, as you can email URL links for self-directed learning. CoastalFlix is great for use in the classroom to replace, physical media products like DVDs, and the videos can even be embedded in your internal websites, places like SharePoint. So CoastalFlix can really remove that burden of online content management. It can certainly reduce your costs and increase that training and effectiveness to improve the end user experience. And the other thing it does, it also increases content delivery speed by combining both the content hosting and launching abilities. So I know we went through a lot of information today in a fairly short period of time, but I do want to wrap up so we can save some time for Q&A. But again, e-learning is really transforming the way organizations are providing safety and compliance training to employees. The new tools that leverage mobile devices are making training opportunities more convenient with the ability for employees to receive learning any time of day to nearly any location. They're also adding to the effectiveness of training with the use of video and microlearning, making for a more interesting and interactive learning experience. Yet, I want to leave you with this, that it's important to remember that no single e-learning tool is sufficient on its own. Utilizing the best combination of e-learning tools that complement and augment the traditional curriculum-based or instructor-led sessions and are customized into a program based on the unique training needs of your organization, we found will really result in a more prepared workforce and safer workplace for your companies. So again, thank you all for your time today. We left plenty of time for a few questions. So Barry, I will kick it back to you to see if we've gotten any questions in our queue thus far that we can start addressing.
Great job, Steve. Thanks so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. We do have some questions before I start the Q&A today. I want to remind everyone of the evaluation survey that we're asking you to complete today for us. The survey should be appearing on your screen now. Your input is important because it will help us to improve future webcasts. If you do not see the evaluation survey on your screen, please turn off your pop-up blocker. You may also access the survey by clicking on the survey button, which is located near the lower right portion of your screen. Now let's go ahead and get to some questions. Steve, our first question here is, how difficult is it to customize your courses?
Great question. We've got two different ways you can customize DuPont's content. First is through a tool called Customize, which allows you to really change on the fly different storyboards within our off-the-shelf e-learning courses. So if you wanted to add in your own policy and procedure, if you wanted to add a video of a member of your executive staff to address the employees, it's really very easy and honestly no programming required to have you do that. It's really a kind of a one-click and add a storyboard and then type in what you want and publish. The other way to do that is through our content authoring tool, which I mentioned for a couple minutes in the presentation, and that really allows you to create a piece of custom e-learning from the ground up. So while you can use some of the assets from DuPont's e-learning courses, it really allows you to kind of create your own course from the ground up. And so that's a tool that's connected to our learning management system. And again, it's very easy to use. We have customers who've created hundreds and hundreds of courses and are simply using our system to deliver content that way.
Great. You also talked about content over multiple platforms. One question we had for you was, how many mobile-friendly online courses does DuPont offer?
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time creating content in this area. Today, we've got over 600 of our courses are available over mobile devices, and what we've done is we've really tried to create a kind of a one-course policy here within our content development, meaning that we don't want to have a mobile course and then have a completely different kind of course that you'd access over your desktop. It's the same course, and so you can start the course on your mobile device, stop in the middle. Our system will bookmark it, and then you can jump into the course and maybe finish it on your desktop later. So we've got a kind of a one-course experience for our end users, and we've really gotten some great feedback in that. So there's really no reason to have to worry about, well, do I want my employee to take this over a mobile or on their desktop? It really frees up the end user to decide how and when they want to take that course themselves.
Okay, great. One question we had as well was, do you offer SCORM compliant content?
Yeah, and so it's another good question, and something that we get asked a lot from our customers. Yes, so we've got some 1,400 SCORM compliant courses. So our content can be sent and implemented through really any commercially viable learning management system today, as long as they're SCORM 1.2 compliant. So yeah, that's certainly one way that we work with a number of our clients is through delivery and of SCORM packages.
Okay. We also have an interesting question here from one of our audience members. Do you feel employees get the same quality of content from e-learning that they would from instructor-led classes?
I guess I would say it depends on what that learning is covering. Like I mentioned, I don't think e-learning is a magic bullet. I don't think it can solve all of a company's kind of training or learning problems, but it can certainly be kind of part of a more blended solution. So every time we kind of have a learning event, we have to make some compromises around that event. I mean, if we were truly being honest, that kind of one-on-one mentoring would be the best way to train, right? We'd want to sit across from someone at a desk or have them shadow us and follow us around to kind of learn a skill or to be trained. But we know that that's not a practical way to have learning take place at our organizations. So I think for us, DuPont's recommendation really is let's take a look at what are we trying to do with that learning event, and then we can say, is this something that we really need a hands-on or a classroom training event around, or is this something that training that'll happen pretty regularly, things like compliance training, that we can get done in either a quick or a consistent way done online. So again, it really depends on the training to be done, but especially around things like compliance training, we found that e-learning is a good tool for that.
Okay. We have an interesting question that came in about multi-generational workforces. Audience members asking, how would you tackle e-learning with an older workforce, many of whom may not have smartphones?
Yeah, again, you have to kind of take a look at your organization. Even at DuPont, we're dealing with kind of the aging workforce as well, and so there are going to be instances, especially where things like mobile learning, may not be the most effective way to get that learning done. But what we have found is that there has to be some sort of balance. Especially with the older workforce, I think we've come to the point where we know that they all can access computers. We know that taking some sort of e-learning training, especially around compliance, can take place. But what I would say is that if you have a kind of blended learning environment within your organization, and you understand your learners and you understand your audience, then if you can, either supplement your classroom training with e-learning, or maybe even giving your employees the power to decide, do they want to take this training in a classroom or do they want to take it via e-learning? And using e-learning can help you kind of get a consistent message, across to your distant learners as well as the ones who are taking in the classroom. So I know it's not a great answer, but I think it really does depend on your organization and really what you're trying to hit home. But these are questions that we tackle with our clients each day, and we try and consult them on the best way to move forward, and we do that by really trying to get to know their organizations.
Okay. And Steve, you covered microlearning as well during your presentation. We had a question about that. Do you consider microlearning a replacement for a larger indoctrination, or do you consider it more of a replacement for a refresher training?
Yeah, I think it is really about kind of creating a continuous learning environment within organizations. I certainly wouldn't recommend trading out a full seminar or even a full e-learning course for a piece of microlearning. You certainly wouldn't want to train someone on how to enter a confined space with a minute and a half e-learning course, and then feel comfortable that they know what to do when they're confronted with going into that confined space. But it can be a powerful tool to help kind of supplement some of the learning that's taken place maybe kind of earlier on in that employee's learning journey. If someone had taken an e-learning course, say in January, and you wanted to send them a micro-learning piece of content in February, it can definitely be helpful to kind of keep that previous learning that they've done front of mind. So I don't see it as a necessary replacement, but in addition to some of the learning that's already happening, to ensure that, again, it's at the front of mind of employees.
Great. One of our audience members is asking, where can audience members find a list of available content and courses?
Yeah, so I think within our presentation I had a link to our website, www.training.dupont.com. There they can gain access to our training curriculums. They can preview course content, and they can get a lot more information about our organization and how we partner with clients to help them with their learning and development journeys.
Okay. Steve, we also had a similar question along similar lines. Someone asking about more information about Coastal Flix. Where can folks find that?
Yeah, and so Coastal Flix is housed on its own website. It's www.coastalflix.com. Again, there they can learn about the content that's housed there. We've got thousands of videos, both full-length and micro-learning videos. We've got a good deal of our HTML5, mobile-ready courses available there as well. And so, I certainly would recommend that people take a second if they're interested in, a platform to gain easy access to content at a moment's notice. Going to Coastal Flix and checking out all that has to offer.
Great. We also have another question here about personal devices. One of our audience members asks, have you run into workplace/union restrictions with accessing content on personal devices either during the workday or after work hours?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got some organizations that have union issues, that have issues around the use of devices on shop floors, or even within their workplace. If that's the case, certainly delivery of kind of mobile learning wouldn't be right for that organization. But there are other ways to kind of get content to people at the right time, and even the use of microlearning outside the use of a mobile device can be done. Think about kind of a shift leader before a shift starts. Maybe they can they can get everybody into a quick conference room. Show everybody a video, kind of talk about how to be safe that day, and then they can move on and kind of get their shift started. So yes, there are organizations that restrict the use of mobile devices. They want to restrict the use of those mobile devices inside and outside of work for learning. But what we're finding with the organizations that we're working with, that those restrictions are becoming less and less. And so when we hear our customers asking us for mobile content and what's the best way to utilize it, we really wanted to respond to that need. And so while not all organizations are there yet, there are a lot of them that are moving in that direction.
Okay. Another microlearning question has come in. one of our audience members is asking, in your experience, how does the use of virtual or augmented reality, which tends to be more an immersive experience, fit in with the 4 uses of microlearning?
Yeah, so VR and AR is really hot right now, and DuPont we're doing a lot of R&D in this area, as we speak. So this is a really timely question. I think AR and VR is really great for for safety training and can be used as a little micro learning event. If you think about things like hazard recognition, things like confined space entry, working at heights. All of those things done in a virtual environment can really speed the time to competency for the learner. And I think that's where virtual and augmented reality is really coming into play, is kind of using it to help get employees up to speed much quicker. And then obviously, putting them in, in a hazardous situation without putting them in danger is really neat as well, right? You can see how they would react in a certain situation, learn how to properly act in those situations, so that if they're, God forbid, ever encountered with a situation, we know that they're able to handle it. And so that virtual environment can really, again, kind of speed up that time to training. And normally, how it fits in with microlearning, normally they're not sort of stuck in these virtual worlds for, 30 minutes or an hour. For anybody who's actually, ever, done any kind of, VR, either a game or learning, that can be a long time. So having it kind of broken down into a few minute chunks and having, really one specific learning objective take place during that VR event can be really powerful.
All right. We have a question about e-learning and OSHA compliance. Audience member asks, it is my understanding that e-learning alone does not meet OSHA compliance requirements. Is this correct?
Yeah, in most cases it is correct. I mean, you can certainly go and, take our content or create content, and I guess OSHA can kind of tell you, yes, that kind of meets needs. But, our content certainly doesn't certify, but what it does is it allows for a certain level of OSHA compliance awareness, right? And so when you take one of our courses, it's certainly going to meet and or exceed whatever OSHA's requirements for that learning topic are, or what it's asking. So what we want to do is use video to raise awareness around these areas.
Okay. And Steve, this will be our last question for the afternoon here. One of our audience members is asking, is CoastalFlix a subscription service similar to, say, a Netflix?
Yeah, it's certainly a subscription-based platform. So you can go on and license access to the platform for, say, a 12-month period. And during that 12-month period, you can go in and create what we call playlists, and then those playlists can be distributed to your workforce, via a simple URL link, or even things like QR codes that could be posted in break rooms or even on like posters throughout your organization. But yes, CoastalFlix is a subscription-based platform. Much like a lot of the commercially available entertainment sites, places like Netflix or Hulu.
Great. Well, Steve, we truly appreciate your time and your expertise today. Thank you to all of our audience members for joining us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time today. I'm sorry if we didn't get to everyone's questions, but all of today's unanswered questions will be forwarded on to our speaker. Once again, I hope you take the time to fill out our evaluation survey on your screen to please give us your feedback. That ends today's Safety and Health Magazine webcast. I'd like to thank our presenter again, Steve Zuckerman, everyone at DuPont, and all of you who listened in today. Have a great day and be safe.